used to do these things in my practice called visioning sessions. I loved them. They were also really popular. But over time, I started noticing something. People were really addicted to them, and yet nothing was really shifting in their life outside of those sessions. So if you coach ambitious people, visionary people, you might have experienced something similar, and it can be confusing. So I want to talk about it today. In this scenario, you'll have a person sit down and they'll start to describe the future they want. You can lead them in meditation or visioning. You can do it in a number of ways. But my point is they can speak about their desire, their vision with conviction. They explain the business that they want to build, or what they want to grow into, or the creative work that they are finally ready to birth into the world. And they are thoughtful and articulate. They have clearly spent time imagining it. They can feel it. I can feel it. And from a coaching perspective, everything appears so promising. They have clarity. They know what they want. They can describe the steps even where they could start moving in that direction. And so it looks like a sure bet, momentum. But what I noticed over time, and maybe what you noticed too, is if you stay with this client long enough, it becomes a little unsettling, because the future that they describe, that they're in love with, and the life that they are currently living, it's a gap that never seems to meet. Like a castle in the sky, while their feet are on the earth, and no bridge between them. So each week, the vision remains pretty vivid. Each week, their strategy maybe makes, micro improvements. But the moment when that future actually begins to take shape, it never really arrives. At first, many coaches will assume that the issue must still be clarity. And honestly, maybe even the client assumes that the coaching is not working for them, or that the coach is at fault. So they start to assume that maybe they haven't thought through the situation enough, or they need to find somebody else or something else, or there's a belief that maybe their vision is not meant for them, or it's not realistic. They'll believe that there's like a belief or like a secret almost that needs to be challenged, or a deeper insight that needs to be excavated. And so the conversation or the hunt or the pursuit, it'll continue. And what happens over the years is their thinking becomes really a lot sharper. They have more articulate language. They're really smart at talking through what's meaningful and then why they don't have that already. But if you pay attention, you'll just realize something. They already understand their future perfectly well. I don't think they need another conversation about it. But what they have not yet developed is the capacity to live inside it. And I'm going to give you a secret. So when I'm in what I would call a diagnostic conversation with a client or a prospective client, I will assess where their body is now. Then we look at where they're wanting to go and build the bridge between it, not just in concept or mindset or strategy or advice, in a developmental arc of somatic capacity. We do this, by the way, and you can ask us about it. It's called the Oracle's Edge. So although we have a free skins assessment in the description below, and you can take that, it'll start to show these patterns in real time, how your body operates under pressure, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. It's just the start of the conversation. And so some of you have been watching these videos. Thank you so much. But you've reached out and you said, like, where do I go now? Here's the thing. A self-led assessment, as valuable as it is, it's the opening to a conversation. Then from there, we have developed a psychosomatic 360 live guided assessment for you. As I said, it's called the Oracle's Edge. You will receive an X-ray of your somatic capacity, your subconscious patterning, like the things that you can't even see, your blind spots, the hidden potential levers. We will show that to you. And then not only that, but we will also take our substrate, our medicine, our protocol for how we develop these capacities, and we will custom match it to you, your gaps, your blind sets, your potential. We will match it to you so you know exactly how to train this kind of bridge building for yourself. It's very cool. Check it out. Okay, so anyways, back to this client, right? Their vision, they can see it, they can articulate their future very well, but they haven't developed the capacity to live into it. So this is one of the quiet misunderstandings that runs through the coaching world, because we just assume that, if a person understands their path enough, they'll just do it. They'll follow it. And so insight becomes the primary tool for change. I've even seen high-level coaches develop their whole practice around coaching only to insight. But insight is not complete because a human, the change rarely works in that order. So more often than that, the organism, the animal body, the nervous system must develop the capacity to carry a future before they can inhabit it. Almost think of it as front-loading your training. So you're developing the body, the infrastructure, the foundation first that can carry and build that bridge to your future. This is critical because for my people operating near the frontier edge, like the leading edge of their work, the future that they see and are moving into, it often requires more than just new decisions. It requires becoming someone different, because that future will ask them to step away from the known work that built their reputation. Sometimes it asks them to speak ideas that part of their audience doesn't even understand, to be misunderstood, to not be heard, to be disapproved of. Sometimes it asks them to build something that has no clear precedent yet. There's no roadmap. There's no template. No coach can tell them how to do what it is in them to do because they're innovating. So in their mind, they can imagine these things very clearly. It's their gift. It's their strength. But their nervous system must determine whether they believe they can really survive living there without the fallout. So you can see this dynamic unfold in really ordinary moments. A founder begins to realize that the work that they're known for is no longer the work they have energy to lead. A new body of work is forming, and many times it means closing and leaving the old stuff before the new stuff has really emerged. That's a scary gap. So during the coaching conversation, that realization can feel liberating, like they're finally giving themselves permission to be and live more honestly. The insight's clear, and then they go into their life and start making those decisions and actions. And they'll start imagining closing down old work. They'll start imagining publishing a new idea that no one gets, and the crickets or the comments underneath of that. They'll imagine their audience that once understood them and loved them now becoming uncertain, or even like leaving and saying like, I don't know, they're just not resonant anymore. They imagine leaving the identity that previously made them recognizable. So in that moment, their future stops being an idea and it becomes a physiological experience. Their body begins to anticipate the fallout, the pressure of living without everything that got them to where they are now. And if their nervous system has not yet learned to carry that pressure, this is not metaphorical, this is like real nervous system capability. And if it hasn't learned to carry that pressure, their system will contract and it will pull back, and it will justify that pullback in really clever ways. This same pattern appears in leadership. the strategy being clear, the decisions they need to make, but acting on that would require, reorganizing everything or disappointing people who maybe even were supportive or loyal. And so all of that to say, their body anticipates disruption. And that disruption poses a question whether it's survivable or not. Their nervous system reads moments of change as dangerous territory and pull back. And so the decisions, they'll say, I'm decided I'm doing this, but the decision and action, they never go together. In true decision and action are one. They're almost simultaneous. So if an action hasn't occurred, a decision actually hasn't been made, no matter what the words are saying. And the one deciding is the body, not really the mind. So from the outside, these moments of waffling, they're often labeled, as fear, procrastination, blah, 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 self-sabotage. But if you watch closely, something more physiological is happening. They're encountering a pressure threshold. Up to a certain level of pressure, they can function well. They're celebrated, they speak confidently, they make decisions, they're badasses. But beyond that edge, their nervous system, like all of ours, begins regulating them back towards same, survivable. And so what seems like obvious, it now becomes complex, or it's complicated, or they're no longer aligned, or something else needs their attention. And they just, the whole conclusion that maybe it's not time yet, or that vision is maybe too big for them, that's not the problem. The problem is their system hasn't developed the ability to trust that they can birth it, carry it, live it. Once you see this pattern, as a coach, a leader, a consultant, what have you, a powerful realization can emerge. Your client's future is not limited primarily by their lack of imagination. It's limited by the amount of pressure their system has learned to hold without collapsing. And this way the way our system encounters pressure, it falls into one of four patterns. We call this the somatic skins. You can take the self-assessment in the description below. And honestly, many coaches discover that once they can see their own orientation differently, what seems mysterious and why are my clients doing this or not doing this, it suddenly makes sense. So regardless, you can take that if you want, but I want you to know this. If you don't take anything else away, a larger future, more expansion, it demands a larger psychosoma, a different way of organizing underneath. If a person wants to lead something original, they must learn to tolerate uncertainty or disagreement. If they want to bring new ideas into the world, they must learn to stand in territory that others may not immediately understand. If they want to evolve beyond their current work, they must learn to live for a time without the recognition that once felt familiar. I lived this recently in my pivot from what I was doing as a high-level individual coach. No humble brag. My practice, my clients, I loved it. Nothing was wrong. My programs were great, etc. And I had achieved a level of success and reputation that honestly was on the vision board for most in my industry. And yet I knew it was time to evolve. And when my partner in crime, Tom, and I began the Prestige, very few people in our current circles understood what the hell we were doing. It looked like taking our careers and wadding them up and throwing them away. Everything that we had been known for. And you'll know this, if you've ever encountered this, you'll know this because people will say, well, when are you doing that other stuff again? Well, what happened to that? Why can't we go back to that? Or I'll just wait for you to offer that again. Not realizing that you have evolved. The work has evolved. And now you have to live in your nervous system, in your body, in your whole system with the felt sense of being on the front edge of something that very few people understand. So if you want to evolve beyond your current level of work, you have to learn to live for a time without that recognition, without that validation. When your nervous system begins to develop the capacity to carry that pressure, something remarkable starts to happen. The future that once felt intimidating, it begins to feel natural. And so the same decisions that once felt overwhelming, you need a lot of space and time to really contemplate, they just become ordinary parts of your life. The pushback from people, the disapproval, the questions, it just becomes a normal part of relational conversation, not an existential crisis. This shift from chasing clarity to building capacity, it's why we do this work. It's the deeper layer of development that we do inside the Prestige. We use immersive events like catalysts for you to experience your edges, your blind spots, those awkward moments that are going to hold you back. And you can expand your somatic range in real time with us. And then we have coaching circles where you can have world-class support on all your things, as well as learn these tools, these lenses, this way of working for yourself and with your clients in real time. So members will develop the biological capacity, the command to live inside of the futures that they once only imagined. If that kind of work resonates with you, you are so welcome to join us for a season. We would love to have you. You can reach out to us directly and we'll talk human to human. Other than that, thanks for staying here. We appreciate your support very much. Consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out, and honestly, we just want this work to reach as many people as it can. Until next time.